It's finally happening. SmallRig is producing cages for Leica cameras. If you're following my channel, you by now know that I'm using SmallRig cages both for my Panasonic S5 which is recording here, and my iPhone 15 Pro Max, which is recording up here. And now, finally, we get cages from SmallRig for the Leica SL3 and the Leica SL2, and they newly announced also a cage for the Q3. Let's check out the SmallRig website so I can show you all the products, and let me add that this video is not sponsored in any way. I bought all the SmallRig stuff with my own money. Here we have the two Leica SL cages. We have a cage for the SL3, which I have, which I'm going to show you right now. And we have also the same for the SL2, which I think is very cool because the SL2 is also still a camera that will be around for years to come. And they newly announced now the Q3 cage. I do not own this one myself. So let's check out the SL3 cage. I already unboxed it, so I don't have the box anymore because I already used it. It is not cheap, it's over $200. Maybe it's because for Leica they make it more expensive, I don't know. But it's really good material. And there's also a little gimmick, you can have it engraved. Of course, I had to do that. If you already own SmallRig cages, you by now know that they have this little tool that comes with it that snaps on magnetically. I will have a tip later in the video what you can do when you lose those, because I already did lose them. But here, this one really snaps in perfectly. We have also here a little removable clip that slides off, which protects the cables. We're gonna check that out later. The cage itself feels really high-end. It comes with an Arca Swiss mount here, so you can just snap it on any Arca Swiss compatible tripod. It has several possibilities to mount other plates. It has an opening here for the battery, which we're gonna check out as well. On top, we have one cold shoe. We have little sparings here, for example, to mount the Peak Design clips, to use it with the Peak Design strap. You can furthermore customize it here where it says SmallRig. You can also have a Leica logo put in here. It's magnetic. I did not do that, so because it's a SmallRig cage, it can say SmallRig. That's okay for me. We have several possibilities to mount stuff on the side, and we're just gonna now put the camera in, and then I will do two different mounts. I will do like a handheld, a simple handheld mount, and I will also put it in the cage on a gimbal. On my camera I have the 24-90 zoom lens from Leica. It's a heavy lens. So let's see if we can mount the camera with the lens attached. Absolutely no problem. So we first screw on, of course, the main screw that goes into the tripod mount. And for that, of course, we are using the little tool. This screws on very well, very easily. And then we have also here these possibilities to even further fix the camera. Other side. It's a heavy setup, but it's really stable. It's actually for using it as a handheld photo camera. I will not do that. So if I take pictures, I'm gonna take it away, because actually the grip, even though it ergonomically enlarges the grip, I don't think it has that good a hold anymore. If you're taking pictures. For video, I think it's okay, but for pictures, I will have it taken away. But I have also small hands, so maybe if you have larger hands, it's better. That's, for example, different than with the Panasonic mount. I use there the classic cage. There are two cages available for the Panasonic S5 I made a video about those two cages, and in the end I decided to go with the classic grip. If you're interested in that, I'm gonna link it in the description. With that camera, because the camera itself is a little bit smaller, the cage stays on all the time because it really helps me to have a better grip on the camera. Here I would say it's a little bit too large, and I will take it away when I do pictures. We can perfectly access the battery, so I did not mount the battery yet. I can just put it in there now. And if I need to remove it, I also have access to this little release button and then take it away. That works perfectly as well. From an access point of view, it's really well designed. What I also think is very well designed is that we have access to this little display which shows us our exposure information, and it's really good that basically this part of the cage with my name on it, that it's not going over the little display. The camera is meant to work in a way that I have the thumb on this wheel, I have my finger here on this wheel, and I have the thumb, it's called the thumb wheel. I have this here. I can access the wheels as they are meant to be accessed by Leica. Then let's look at the side. We have here, of course, the USB-C connector, which I can use for power supply, but also can use for data transfer. And I, of course, have here the HDMI mount. And now this little accessory comes into play, where we just slide this up here. It snaps in perfectly, and now, for example, if I have an HDMI cable, if I want to use an external monitor, I just now can put this in here, and with this little wheel I can open that, and then I can just press this into the HDMI plug, and then I can screw on this screw, and now this is perfectly fixed and detected. So if it has eruptions, if I pull on the cable, it's not going to be destroying the cable nor the plug itself. The same works for the USB-C, which for show purpose, I have here this Apple cable. I can plug it in. I push this a little bit against. Now it's really good protected as well. I really think this is a good thing, because sometimes on the road you pull on the cameras and then you can break the plug. So this is very well protected. So now, while we are doing this, let's just build a handheld rig with a manual focus wheel as well. So this is a basic rig. I would say I can easily carry it around. It's stable as always with small rig. I have now my follow focus here on the side. I have now used with the focus. I could also use it with the zoom while working on autofocus, which is also possible now. And with the new hybrid autofocus, you have much better results when using the autofocus. Now it's my zoom ring. I really think that is cool, and I can also access the focus in front here. I even would be able to have a second ring and mount this here, so I would have a zoom ring and a focus ring. This would also be possible, but I only own one follow focus, which I mostly actually use with the zoom. So let's even go a little bit further and mount an external monitor. Some sound. I would say this is pretty cool. Feels solid, heavy. Zoom in and out with the focus ring. Autofocus, of course, does the camera right now. This is also a setup you easily can put on a tripod now, because we have the Arca Swiss mount here, and I can just put it now on any tripod that has the possibility to mount Arca Swiss. And yeah, and then I can use it also in a studio, and it's much more controlled. With the SL3, you cannot record directly to an external SSD, at least not at this point, which you don't need to, because you have the CF Express card in the camera, which can record very fast speeds. But internally, you only can record ProRes up to full HD. So if you want to record 4K, you need to have an external monitor. I am actually thinking about getting a Blackmagic, I don't know what's it called, Blackmagic Assistant recorder or something like that, so I can record Blackmagic RAW, because I use DaVinci, of course, but as of now I'm working with this setup, and it works perfectly as well, because mostly for the YouTube stuff, if I do ProRes, I'm gonna do ProRes LT, which you also cannot do in the camera as well, so you need to have an external recorder to do that. So let's mount the camera on a gimbal, also with the cage on, so that it's better protected. Now, the cool thing is we can just also snap this on. Or can't we? Maybe we have to do it differently. first snap it on, maybe it's even better, so it cannot fall off. We have here this little mark where the screw is, and if we would have mounted the original plate from DJI, this would be the middle, so we're gonna do it somewhere in the middle and then we fix it. And now we can start balancing. Good. What I want to point out at this moment is that I also left the microphone receiver on the camera while balancing it. So I'm completely independent. Of course, the Ronin gimbal is not compatible with the Leica cameras, but of course I could also mount the dedicated Ronin focus system. The good thing with the SL3, for example, in comparison with the Panasonic S5 II, is that here we can just turn the monitor up. If you are using the gimbal and you're looking down, you can really perfectly see the monitor. You also can pull it a little bit out. With the Panasonic camera, you can only flip it out and then you can turn it up. So this is much better for gimbal work than, for example, the Panasonic. But I also like to use, even though it gets even more heavy, I like to use an external monitor so I can also record onto the monitor directly. From SmallRig, there is a dedicated accessory to attach, so you can also mount an external monitor. You see how you can use it. And the really cool thing is really that I also can, because this is very stable, I actually can just use this as an extra arm if it's getting too heavy. I used it several times this way, and this is really cool. And it feels, I used it with the SL2 back in the days, but I did the SL2 I did not have in a cage, and this is that feels much more stable. And you can also extend it around the camera, but then you of course need to rebalance it again. Before I end this video, I want to talk, as promised, about one more accessory from SmallRig. And it's a very handy thing, and it's called the SmallRig Toolbox, I think. It comes in this little pouch, and it's basically a way to very comfortably store every tool you need when you're working with SmallRig. And not only SmallRig, you can also use those with the Design, for example, because I always use this big Design travel pod tool. With this, I have it always on me. It's perfect. I have every screw I need. And then I have an extra special tool, which I also always lose, which is very hard to find as an extra accessory. But with this toolbox, it's included, and with this, I never lost it. So I would highly recommend to organize one of those. I'm going to put a link in the description. I bought it on Amazon for about, I don't know, $25. It's really, really useful accessory. As I told you, I already talked about SmallRig in several videos. I have a dedicated video for the SmallRig cages for the Panasonic S5 II, and I also have a video where I show the SmallRig cage for the iPhone 15 Pro. I'm gonna put both links in the description. The SL3 in its new form and with this new software, I really think it's a valid video camera. If you're interested in how I set up my SL3 as a video camera, I have a dedicated video on that. I'm gonna put it in the description. And I also have a PDF file where I show how I assigned my buttons on the SL3. I put a link so you can download it for free. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up to help the channel grow, and consider subscribing yourself. If you want to know more about how I set up my SL3, check out this video. Or if you want to know how I set up my Q3, check out this video. Stay curious!